Hello, my name is Beatrice, and in this video we'll be talking about how to pass the AIA 5.0 Practice Management exam. Now let's begin the video by talking about effective studying techniques. For the most part, people use passive studying as the only technique to study, and passive studying refers to reading, highlighting, listening to YouTube videos, and I think we've all experienced listening to someone and completely zoning out, or reading a paragraph, getting to the end, and not remember anything that we just read. And this is because passive studying does not require your brain to remain engaged. So the main difference between passive and active studying is that active studying requires your brain to remain alert at all times. To complement passive studying strategies, let's talk about the two active studying techniques we should implement into our studying routine. And those are active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall refers to testing yourself, so challenging your brain to work a little harder to retrieve the information. The second technique is spaced repetition, and it refers to reviewing the material over different intervals of time. This is effective because our brain's capacity to store information is limited, and over time, we begin to forget at an exponential rate. This is a hypothesis called the forgetting curve, and based on this hypothesis, if we interrupt the forgetting curve by retrieving the information at different intervals of time, our retention of the material in our long-term memory increases. Let's think of our brain like a muscle. The more we challenge it, the stronger it becomes. Now, let's talk about the tools to implement these two techniques. Because it's better to break down your study routine into different segments rather than cramming, I focus on Quizlet and practice questions. If you do a search for AIA 5.0 Practice Management, you'll find people have already created their own flashcards, or you can create your own. Now, practice questions are just as important. This most likely won't be free, but I recommend investing in one third-party material. I use Ballast PPI, which is an approved third-party resource by NCARB. Remember that these exams are timed, and practicing questions gets you familiarized to the format of the exam, which is answering as many questions as possible in a restricted amount of time. Now on the study material, I begin by getting familiarized with the AIA Handbook. It gives you a general explanation on the exam. Practice management is broken down into 4 sections. In the section details, it shows you the expected amount of questions per section. After reviewing the handbook, I studied the Architect's Handbook of Professional Practice, and I used it with the study guide, which was created by Narmour Wright. It tells you the pages to focus on for each section. The Architect Handbook of Professional Practice is a very dense book. However, this is the only book that I use to study, and the study guide is extremely helpful in narrowing down the information that you need to focus on. I also studied the AIA Documents A201 and B101. Another great resource is Michael Hanahan's lectures. He's an attorney trained as an architect, and he publishes lectures for his professional practice course at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I recommend listening to all of his lectures. There are a few lectures where he explains the AIA Documents B101 and A201.